All right, thank you very much, Mayor, Council. Appreciate being here tonight to give this report. This is a report that we delivered to committee. It's been a little over a month ago, and we're asked to bring this report to the full council. What we're here for tonight is to discuss our conveyance system, which is something that we don't think about a lot, but it's really massively important for our city as we think about the systems that we have in place that as a community we've all built. You know, we've funded as a community these systems that allow us to live in close proximity to each other. Our water system, our transportation street system, our conveyance system. It's something that we all own together, and it works so well that we don't think about it a lot. And that's what we want to talk about tonight, is just think about it for a minute and provide you with some background on the City of Moscow's conveyance system. It's something that we're proud of, the fact that people can just use the system without thinking about it because it just works. And so we're going to talk a little bit today about why that happens and what it is that makes that work and the staff that works on that. And really appreciate you gentlemen taking the time to hear the presentation. We've got a pretty large conveyance system. Our collection system collects the sanitary sewer from all over town and conveys it to the wastewater treatment plant. When you think about the plumbing in your house, you know, you have smaller pipes going to bigger pipes going to bigger pipes. Well, then it goes out to bigger pipes and then really bigger pipes. And it's the job of Tony, who's here with us tonight, who's the supervisor of our conveyance department, and his staff to make sure that that continually happens and that it happens efficiently. Tony's worked in this past year on a really impressive system for our conveyance cleaning. You know, the real key to having an effective conveyance system is having a very consistent cleaning system. It's pretty impressive when you talk to someone like Tony. He's been with the city for 25 years working on our conveyance system. And the intimate knowledge that he has of our system is so impressive. One of the big reasons that it runs as well as it runs is I can ask Tony about a specific line in a system with dozens and dozens and dozens of miles of line. I can ask about a specific manhole, and he can tell you about it. He can tell you the history of it. He can tell you, you know, what rotation it's on. Hey, that's on our monthlies. We've got to hit that every month. That's every 6 months. We've got to hit that every 3 years. And so Tony, using that knowledge, put this map together that you can see here, and these are drainage areas of the city. And we use, Tony will talk about some of the equipment that we use to operate this program, but the goal is to pull all of these areas down and ultimately pull them toward the treatment plant. And so as our operators go out, they track where they've been, what they've done, what areas they've completed, and then we're able to keep a good history on what we encounter in different areas of the system and assure that we maintain it effectively. And really that happens with a lot of hard work. Tony's got a pretty small department. He's got 3 employees in himself, and those 4 guys make sure that entire system operates. And so I'm going to turn the time over to Tony now and just let him talk to you gents about what he's done for the last 25 years out here.
Mayor, Councilman, how you doing?
Welcome, Tony.
Like Tyler said, I've been there with the department for 25 years. There's 4 of us total in the department. We've got about 50 years of experience between the 4 of us, and it keeps us busy. It's changed a lot in 25 years since I first started here. It's changed a lot. It's just a completely different, whole different job. But is it ready to go, Tyler? Yeah. We have 450,000 linear feet of line within the city limits of Moscow, and a few outside the city limits, I guess, Southeast Sewer District. We also have where to go, Tyler?
Presentation.
We also have 4 lift stations that we have to operate and maintain. This is our mall lift station, west of town, out by the Palouse Empire Mall. It's just to give you a little perspective of where it's located.
I think we have speeders.
What's that?
Is that I think we got speeders. Look at
Yes,
those cars
yes.
zipping along. We need a few cops out there.
Hire some more police. This is the Orchard lift station located out on the end of Orchard Avenue, north of town. That's one of our smaller ones. That one runs maybe 3 times a day. Each pump runs about 3 times a day, if that. The mall, the first one, that's the busiest one. That one runs probably every 12, 13 minutes. This is the southeast lift station on the Southeast Sewer District in East Palouse River Drive. Looking north. So all the lines, everything we keep, it's like Tyler said, once it goes down the drain, people tend to forget about it and never give it another thought. But it's our job to think about it. And it's not cheap to maintain, to keep it moving out to the treatment plant. It costs a lot of money, and I think the average person, I don't think they really have any idea. It's like a lot of other jobs. Unless you do it, you don't really know much about it. But there's a lot to it. That's the south lift station, south of town, out by the plantation in the industrial park. And then like I said, we keep it all going to make sure it gets out to the treatment plant that's west of town, up across from the Plus Mall and the mall lift station. Some of the activities and the jobs, the things we do to keep the flow going out to the treatment plant, as Tyler mentioned, is the flow map, the drainage areas that we try to do a 4 to 5 year cleaning cycle on the whole system. And I think that's probably stretching it, because one of my employees, he's probably the best I've seen since I've been here as far as keeping the truck out and cleaning. He takes pride in it. I mean, he keeps it going. He keeps this program going. If it wasn't for Rick, I don't know. It probably we wouldn't get the 4 to 5 year turnover. And then this is just kind of breaking it down smaller section of town, and the red dots just indicate where the drainage area ties into a bigger line or another drainage area, and then it gets even smaller, just a neighborhood or a subdivision. And then some of the tools that we use.
If you don't mind.
Go ahead.
The black circles are manholes.
Yes. And some of the equipment we use, this is our hydro cleaner, this truck that he uses to clean the lines, keep everything moving. And I know with 4 of us, we can't get to everything all the time, and sometimes they have the tendency to back up. And I know Councilman Carskellen has experienced that before. We've talked to him in the middle of the night before, a time or two. That's our hydro cleaner to keep stuff moving, and this is an example of some of the tools we use. This is a root cutter.
Rotor.
So we hook the hose to the other end of it, and the hydraulic pressure from the water turns the blade, and then it also pulls itself up the line, and we come up against roots or other stuff, and the saw cuts it. This is an example this is a rare example, but usually it's spinning, but we had to do this one backwards because the root ball was so big.
Wow.
And so long we couldn't cut through it. We had to go through it all the way, put the saw on, pull it back, and then pull the root ball out. This is not common. This was that weighed 80 pounds when we got it out of there wet. When it dried, it weighed about 7 pounds, but it was still the same size.
How big a pipe you working in there, Tony?
That's 18-inch.
Holy crap. There it goes.
There it goes.
You don't want to be in the way of that.
No, no.
Just you, do you?
Is that fun or what?
Yeah.
And then our daily maintenance, we have all assortment of nozzles and stuff we can use for whatever application we need for cutting grease, cutting roots, just moving debris down the line. A lot of flow, minimum flow. The angles of the jets on the nozzles determine how fast or how slow it goes up the line, how much debris it'll move. And then if we don't get out there and do the maintenance on the lines, we run into this. This is another extreme example of what can happen. This is somebody's basement.
Oh. Yeah.
And it was pretty much a small creek running through their house.
Oh, man.
Gross.
And yes, that's raw sewage. And it was running out through the bedroom and down between the wall and the floor and outside.
And that was caused by their own personal back?
Well, that was the backup in the city line.
So then are we
An 8-inch
responsible
line
for
right
that?
at the top of Walenta, right?
We have to take care of their...
University Heights, to be exact. Yeah, so that was, and then this is our CCTV truck. So when you saw the roots being pulled out of there, that was an example of what you see with what we see when we put our camera in the line. And then there are other examples coming up. This is the control room. It's hard to see. The picture didn't turn out real well, but it's funny. You have all this high-tech equipment, and the controller that you use is a PlayStation controller that has all the controls for your camera, lights, forward, backwards. We also, implement a smoke testing program to find I&I, which is inflow and infiltration, water getting into the system, groundwater, surface water, or like when it rains, when it rains, we want that water to go into the storm system and in the creek, not out to the treatment plant because it taxes the plant. And there's an example of the flows. That's just an idea of the smoke testing, what it's used for and how it works. So we apply smoke into the system. We have plugs in the lines. We blow it in with a fan, so we get smoke out of the vents in houses. And if there's a source to the surface in there or a crack in the pipe, like this picture shows, it'll come out of the ground, and we have now identified a source where surface water can get into the system. This is an example of the flows that the treatment plant gets because of the I&I. You see on Sunday 5/10, that's your average flow, and then on the 13th we had a rain event, and what was it, 3/4 of an inch?
Almost double, didn't it?
And the flows went up considerably just from that 3/4 of an inch of rain. So, and if that water went to the creek like it's supposed to, it wouldn't. I'm not sure how that really affects the treatment plant and whatnot, but it's not good. Here's another example of what we see with the camera. This is dye testing. We do this for many different reasons, just to identify and be 100% confident that the service we're looking at is goes to the home that we're dealing with at the time. And then I think that's all I have, isn't it, Tyler? Yep, that's it. Thank you for your time. Any questions?
Well, Tony, I want to make a comment. Normal citizens, and including myself, we're just happy when we get up in the morning, we flush the toilet, and we don't have something staring back at us.
And that's when you quit thinking about it, right? You go on with your day. That's
so
right.
we're glad to have guys like you out there taking care of things like this for us. It's very much appreciated. Anybody else have Art?
Tony.
Yeah, did I notice today there was putting in the new cured lines along
yeah,
Mountain
that's
View
on
with
that,
all
yeah.
the steam thundering out? So that's what that was.
All those aerial photos, you take those with your drone?
Yes,
Your
sir.
personal drone?
Yes, sir.
That I'm hearing so much about?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Wayne?
That was
Only
before I
one of the
looked into
things that-
Idaho, the state laws on drones, so it doesn't get flown very much anymore.
Tony, one of the things that we just had a workshop on was fat oil and grease discharges into the sewer system. If we can get a handle on that and get the public better educated in it, and so consequently getting less fog into the sewer system, how much is that going to help your program?
A lot.
You get a lot of grease, that's what causes a
Certain
lot of
areas,
these?
restaurants and whatnot. Yeah, the one where you saw us pulling those roots out of there,
Yeah.
those had been in there a while and we didn't discover them. So, and that's right where a large area of restaurants and whatnot flow through, and it was like the grease was like ice over water. It developed a ceiling of grease, and the water was running underneath it. So when we finally discovered that and broke it all loose and cleaned it, Todd at the treatment plant, they filled a dumpster with that grease that we sent them.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a considerable problem.
And you guys just deal with sanitary, not the storm?
Correct.
That's the street department that does the storm.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
Thanks, Tony.
So yeah, as Tony said, we've had a few things come up with the sanitary system that we've talked to the council about, and one of them is our fog program, which is really important. A lot of the lines that Tony has to clean the most frequently are due to fats, oils, and greases, and so that's a program that we've talked to the council about and that we're excited to roll out. Something that was mentioned was our lining project. Some of the things we really appreciate. You guys saw the equipment in the presentation. Our lining project, the council's been very supportive of our efforts to keep our system maintained. And so we have good equipment. And that good equipment is what allows us to keep it on the road and to keep it and keep the lines clean, keep them inspected. This is another example. This year we did our first pipe lining project. Many of you have probably seen them out and about around town for the past about week and a half. Yeah. This is a really interesting process where with certain pipe conditions we can go in and they'll with pressurized air they'll inflate what comes out almost as a sock that's impregnated with an epoxy and use steam, and then it cures in place and becomes structural. So it's as strong or stronger than the pipe that it replaces. And so the old pipe, be it clay or old concrete, can just erode off the side of this new pipe. And it's a very cost-effective way when you think about the alternative being digging up the pipe and excavating. It's a very cost alternative, a very good cost savings when we can do that project. There are other things that, we look at. We've got a capital program that we've been working very hard on in our department to do project coordination on. And so we try and coordinate our projects so that we're doing water lines and sewer lines and streets simultaneously where possible and taking advantage of the funds so that we don't do, this water line 1 year and then the sewer line 5 years later and then the streets, and we try and coordinate those efforts. So there are a lot of things that we've really been working on, but the real emphasis of all of this is that none of it happens without Tony and his staff. They're the guys that, where the rubber meets the road, make the city work, and we appreciate you guys taking the time to hear a little bit about the system.
Yeah, and Tony, pass our condolences on to those folks that work underneath you instead of doing that, because we do appreciate it. It's a big deal for all of us. Thank you, Tyler.